Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle. We're the fucking Morning Throners.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We're the Morning Throners, talking Bran 1 of Clash of Kings. Ready to roll, fellas. It's been a while. Nelson was on vacay. We're going to get a little bit of that coming up, I would assume. But
What?
just vacations, people taking off here and there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I was in the mountains and I was thinking, like, damn, if you had a castle up here, like the Erie, you'd be fucking sitting pretty. Because I almost died.
Know you'd be good.
I almost died getting to the top of that mountain, and I was not being attacked by anybody, and I wasn't wearing armor. So,
we know the castle would be good from you.
yeah, good defense for me for
Little
sure.
Dunk's not making it up that mountain.
What do you think about this chapter? I'm not a fan. It's kind of boring.
Yeah, it's kind of boring. I mean, you just get a little insight into what Bran's doing and what's happening with him. It's not bad, but it's not like exciting.
We're going to say that, and we're going to spend an hour talking about
just because we
this
didn't
chapter.
enjoy it doesn't mean that it's not like something to talk about.
I just finished editing the prologue, and that was like our longest podcast ever. It was pushing 3 hours,
3 hours?
after being edited.
Well, looking forward to seeing how much our fans like that one. But, all right,
fans like the long ones.
Jumping right in, we get Bran sitting outside his window. We get a little, he's talking about how he feels like a prisoner in his bed because the walls are closing in on him. But when he's at the window, he can look out and obviously
like
see a bunch of shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at least you can still watch people.
Dream. That's a lot of daydreaming, I think, as well.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's just like people watching.
Yeah.
Kind of sitting on a bench and just watching people go by the park. It's kind of how I see it doing. But I guess the biggest part is – go ahead, go.
Yeah, I was going to say the one night, I guess, with the comet going by, the wolves are howling extra crazy.
Was it one night? It seems like it's been like a thing for
they
a
howl
while, and
all the
people are
time.
pissed about it.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. Well, this comment –
one night it sounds like they go extra crazy.
Actually, interesting. The first mention of the comet is not in the Danny chapter. The only time we hear of it before the Danny chapter, I think, that I caught was in the last Bran chapter. Like, as the Bran chapter starts, he says, like, Lewin was noting the comet's location in the morning sky. So, like, the comet, I guess, had just showed up. So, if the wolves have been howling since the comet, that's, like, since the last Bran chapter again. I'm not sure exactly. I'll look at my timeline, but again, I think we said the comet's been in the sky like 2 weeks. We did do some Googling. I don't know if we talked about it in the last podcast, but like comets can stay in the sky for like
I think
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 or 3
I
weeks.
didn't
Yeah.
know that.
It was, but like I feel like maybe we haven't met that time period yet. But this comet must be crawling in the sky.
Hanging. Yeah, it's hanging up there.
Yeah.
I personally think Westeros or the Planetos is just like a huge planet because the seasons are so long. Like that's why it takes so long for
But they're
inconsistent
inconsistent, too.
access.
But they're inconsistent too. So it would need like an orbit like Pluto, right? Is that how, or just like I don't know. I
have no fucking clue.
not
But
a space
moving
guy.
on, so we get into some talk about the wolves. Bran mentions that he's dreaming of wolves a lot, and
he says he can almost understand their howling. Not quite,
It's like
but
a
almost.
language that he used to know.
Old man told him that some of them have more wolf in them, dire wolf in them than others. The Starks.
Yeah. So I mean, we get Kyle. Let's talk about the whole wolf stuff because we get like deeper into it towards the very end, right? Like when Bran goes to sleep.
Yeah.
After he's supposed to take the potion that's supposed to make him not dream, and then he has a dream where he's a wolf in the Godswood.
And he like,
Quit spoiling, dude.
I mean, I'm saying we should talk about it now because they're like kind of doing like foreshadowing here for like the end of this chapter, right? Where they're talking about like
he says it's so real.
starts
Like
howling.
he can feel and smell and taste and all that. Everything the wolves are actually feeling. So it's more than a dream.
Yeah, and then he's even talking about like his brother, right? He's talking about it as if he's Summer, right? Towards the end. Yeah, towards the end. We don't really get that here, but that's kind of like what this is like kind of all leading up to, I feel like. There's early stuff about wolves.
He's smarter than Shaggy Dog, I think is the best part about the Shaggy Dog's like can't figure out that he can't get out, and like it's like,
just interesting. Like, what if Rickon's doing the exact same thing, right? Rickon's 4. So what if when Rickon goes to bed, he's like having these dreams where he's like kind of half controlling, half along for the ride? If it's because like in a dream, you don't really control stuff, right? You're kind of just like along for the ride for a lot of it. So that's why I feel like it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. But if Rickon's doing the exact same thing, it's kind of funny. Bran is just like chilling and Rickon just like running around like trying to find a way out. It's like, again, like half wolf, half kid a little bit, but it's kind of how they act. Rickon hasn't seemed to be nearly as aggressive as Shaggy Dog, but
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
I mean, one thing they do mention, kind of foreshadowing, is that it says they are talking brother to brother. It is mentioned. So whether that's like Summer talking to Bran or Summer talking to Shaggy Dog, what's going on out there?
Or Bran talking to Rickon. Who knows?
Yeah. We do get a bunch of opinions on why the wolves are howling. Bran kind of goes around and
opinions on the comment. It's kind of like meshes with the things
absolutely.
of the comment too, right? We get like a huge dump of what everyone thinks of the wolves and in the comment. Do you guys remember any of them?
Cassell says, "Who knows what goes on in the mind of a wolf?"
Exactly. It just says who the fuck knows.
Somebody says they're hungry.
Yeah, hunting. They get smelling prey.
Gage says, he wants to go hunting.
It's kind of like funny. Like everyone's job kind of aligns with what they say, right? So the kennel master is like, oh, they want freedom because he knows about like just keeping dogs penned up. The cook says, oh, they want to hunt and eat because like that's what the cook does. And then he gets to Lewin. Lewin says they're just howling at the moon.
They think the comment.
Well, now the comment,
which is why they've been nonstop.
But that's not what OSHA says.
Yeah, so Bran tells OSHA that.
She cuts down really real quick there.
OSHA's like, Lewin forgets shit, dude.
Your wolves have more wit than your maester. They know truths the gray man has forgotten. The way she said it made Bran shiver. And when he asked about what the comment meant, she said, blood and fire, boy, and nothing sweet.
Yikes. Blood and fire.
Yikes.
I mean, so again,
doesn't
like
sound good.
She's probably like the closest out of everyone, but or if it's like again, like we've been saying, it means dragons, and all these other people and all these other chapters are saying other stuff.
Well, hold on, that's about the wolves howling.
That's about the comment. What she said is about the comment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right. What did she say about the wolves? Did she say anything?
She
about
just
that?
said they're smarter than him.
She
They know
says
that the comment is fucked up. Like it's bringing this.
I definitely put that in the wrong spot.
It's just been funny how we've been like talking in every chapter. Different people think different stuff. Right? In the prologue of Dragonstone, people were like, they did kind of in that one they amounted it to dragons, but they're like, oh, it's dragons, and that's good for Stannis because we're at Dragonstone.
Right.
And I think in like the Sansa chapter, they're like, oh, it's that they were telling Joffrey that like, oh, it's good because it means dragons, and you're where the dragon lords used to sit. But like in the streets,
and
we hear that
red, and you're red.
Yeah,
we heard that in the streets they called it the Red Messenger. Varys tells us Tyrion that in the streets they called it the Red Messenger, and it meant blood and fire to come, kind of similar to this.
We get another one too.
Gendry says it just looks like Gendry says it looks like a sword from the forge, and Arya says it looks like ice with Ned's blood all over it. So like everyone's just saying like different stuff, and again we get Osha. It's kind of more in line with like. Seems like most people are saying dragons, somewhere along the line.
Well, then they get the Septon too, which I don't think we heard from a Septon yet on maybe I guess Cresswell was a maester too.
Season.
Yeah, and just the end of summer.
I think that's a cool way of saying it. Slaying of the season.
Points out the white raven again. That comes up.
Yep. And again, even Creston said that in the prologue. He's like, look at all these omens that are occurring at the same time. The comment, the white raven, and he also said the smoke in the mountain, like the volcano started to be active again or whatever. But yeah, they're like, people are relating all these. Now we have wolves howling. Like even at this castle, there's three kind of omens, right? Comet, bird, and now the wolves howling.
Yeah. We do get a couple mentions of Bran being a prince here, which.
Well, real quick, you might be have it in right order, but I just have a list of what everyone else says. Old Nan just says dragons, right? She's like, she can't even see it. She claims she can smell it, and it just says it means dragons, right?
Which is kind of weird how she just like comes out and says it like they must have seen one of these before, right? Or there has to be a history.
If you've never smelled a comet that meant dragons, how did you know that this comet smells like dragons? Type of thing,
right?
But Old Nan's also Old Nan.
But she's not old enough to see dragons.
I just meant like she's Old Nan. She says a lot of weird shit all the time.
Just cryptic shit.
I don't know. You should expect too much more out of her.
Yeah.
And then Hodor just said Hodor.
Don't forget about my man Hodor.
Hodor?
He's in the notes. He said Hodor.
He's not in my notes.
But they said that basically everyone at Winterfell except for Bran and maybe Rickon hates the howling.
Yeah, and everyone can't even sleep because of it.
I mean, let's be real.
Yeah, it would suck.
He said he knows there's only 2, but it sounds like a fucking pack of them out there. Like,
sometimes it sounds like right outside his window.
Yeah.
It's got to be echoing down the hallways and just bouncing off of every wall.
Bran does not help
we didn't get there
later.
yet, but
Yeah. So
real quick. off of what Jeff was saying earlier with like Bran being called Prince a couple times, or was that Kyle that said that?
No, Jeff said
What
it.
does getting no princes mean? He's like, he gets no princes from Nan. I'm like, I don't know what that
no, Nan doesn't call him that. She'll never call him that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She calls him boy a couple times. Like,
Yeah,
So
so
that's
you're
it. It
getting
has
misters.
Ippy Dragon's boy. She insisted. Bran got no
Okay.
princes from Nan, no more than he ever had.
yeah.
All right, that makes sense. All right.
And I don't
Thank
even
you.
feel like Lewin does either. He gets a prince later on from the one guard. I forget what his name is. Or
I thought Lewin said something too, though.
He definitely calls him Prince.
I think he like refers to him like, hey, you are a prince. You got to do this. But he never calls him like Prince Bran or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good at. I've been like paying attention to that, and I didn't really think to pick it up too much in this chapter, so I'm not sure. But there's a few other things we find out real quick, just in passing. Not that we don't hear the whole story yet, but we figure out the the wolves are locked in the Godswood
Yep.
because they bit Little
Talking
Walter.
about the princes, I just came to a thought here. I'm sorry, throw you off. But so, why isn't he prince? Why aren't they?
He is a prince.
I know, but why
He's
is
a prince.
he doesn't want anybody calling him that, and nobody's calling him that anymore? You said.
No.
Well, even later, he even tells Lewin, like, Lewin calls him Prince, and he says something like, if I'm a prince, why don't you listen to me? Elbow
Right.
won't even let me ride my
Why
horse.
can't I do whatever I want?
Yeah.
Type shit.
But people are calling him Prince.
And I got a quote of what he brings up. I got it a little bit later when they bring up water. But
yeah, so let's go back to why the dogs are
Yeah.
locked in the Godswood. We get the whole story later, but just in passing, they bit one of the two Walders. So we get more into it later, but in the Rob chapter, or the cat chapter, I guess, where she goes in and meets with Frey, we don't actually see the whole discussion, but she comes out and she gives Rob all these terms. One of the terms is 2 Frey boys are being fostered at Winterfell, and they show up. So I think
is
these
this
two
the first
are
we heard of it, or did they talk
I
about
think
that?
they
Like, I
talked
don't.
about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think
Okay.
that was mentioned in that chapter.
It was mentioned, but yeah, this is like the first of like it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Since
it was like
then.
it was like a passing line in
Right.
book 1, and now there's these 2 characters
Yeah.
that Bran does not really like that much, is gonna have to deal with for the rest of this book.
Yeah. Do we want to talk? Just get all the water boy information, like who they are, and
Well, let's wait, because I just in my notes I have it
Okay.
a little bit later on, so
all
we
right.
can
The
move
next
on.
the next kind of note I had was that they talk about how the wolves were mourning their dead and how they cried when Ned died, and that news kind of came across with the bloody raven, and
They cried when Lady died.
They know something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remind you just a little bit. So, Bran does kind of talk about his fall,
The fall.
a little bit.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
between there, and so like. He's kind of trying to remember, but he knows nothing. He's like, I must have fell. I don't even remember falling. The gargoyles, like, it seemed like that kind of jogged his memory a little bit. But
One interesting thing about that, though, that I found interesting from this to later on, when he says, like, this is like, I think a lot later, after he's like howling and Lewin comes, he's like, I wish I could do all this stuff. And Lewin's like, why do you torment yourself? He's like, I wish I was a wolf, because then I could go smell Arya and
Right.
Sansa. And he's like, I could just rip the Kingslayer's throat out, and then the war would be over. So it's, I don't know, that like just statement seemed directed at Jaime. So like, even though he doesn't seem to like consciously remember, like maybe he like subconsciously
connecting
knows
some dots
it was
slowly.
Jaime,
Yeah.
right? Even in the dream, one of the dreams in the first chapter, we said that there was definitely like a figure all in gold or something who pushes him in like one of his dreams. And like we even said in the podcast, like, oh, that's obviously supposed to be Jaime, but Brandon, they put that together. So again, there might be like this like subconscious thing. And maybe that line was just like, Jaime's obviously an important person, but
yeah. I mean, to that point too is like they have Jaime.
Yeah, but I don't think he
does
knows
Bran
that.
know that? I'm not sure.
Why
right?
don't? Why? I
You
mean,
would think he would, but
Probably if they got the White Raven.
sending a message north wouldn't. There's
yeah.
nothing stopping them from sending a message north, right? There's no
They
spy
might also
shooting
just-
down
yeah. This isn't really a good reason, but there's no point either.
just like updates. You don't think they're giving updates to
to Lewin,
Maester
at least,
Lewin
yeah.
or
Yeah, I mean, you're probably
Roderick?
right. Yeah, you're
So-
probably right.
Do they share all that with Bran? Who knows? I mean,
But
you think he?
I'm just saying
he's in charge, but
Yeah.
You would think the news
I
got
would
there.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's flawed in Bran's thinking that killing the Kingslayer would end it all because they have the Kingslayer, right?
Yeah, and
nothing-
obviously the
nothing
better
stopped.
move, at least everyone, what they all think, the people who are actually running the army, they think is better to keep them alive, right? Which probably
Yeah.
makes sense because
So-
there's captives on both sides.
But I do have the note, like, just kind of reiterating that he's now like completely depressed of being a human form, his human form, where he can't walk, he can't do shit. He's got to like climb the bed now with monkey bars, and he'd rather be a wolf.
So this thing that you touched on before that, he says that this is the third time that the wolves have really started howling. And this is kind of going off what Kyle said about the fall. First time when he fell, they said that summer just like howled nonstop.
Yep.
Then the second time they were howling before so Bran and Rickon had that dream. Then they're up there and the wolves start howling before the letter even gets in the window. Mm-hmm. And then this time, so each of those two things obviously are like they're howling for something bad. What are they howling for this time?
Dragons, I guess. I don't know.
Again, like if it's for something bad, what is it? I mean, everyone else at Winterfell gave us their opinions. Do you guys have any thoughts on? I don't really know. Like no one's died, right?
I mean, it's the common, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This
I think that makes the most sense.
I think they think it's in a mood.
I think they're hungry.
Okay, Lewin.
I don't fucking know. But all right, moving on. So Bran is kind of obsessed with these dreams, I would say, and he even takes them a step further. Like the next thing I have is him asking if wolves dream or if animals dream.
No, this is when he starts freaking out and
he starts howling
himself. And then that's when he asks it. Yeah, well, he howls his head off.
He says the dogs are actually answering too. So like he'll howl, then Summer will howl, and then like they'll all join in, just
which is
drown
probably
out Bran.
Awesome, right? I mean, it's like you and Luke. It's like you and Luke just running around barking at each other.
Yeah, but like Lewin comes up later and he's like, "Everyone's trying to sleep. You should be sleeping. Like, what the fuck are you doing?"
He's a prince. He doesn't give a shit about anybody.
Obviously, but yeah,
as if we're over there at Nelson's and he starts doing it at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you do that, I'll kill you.
So we get a new Winterfell guard. We hear about a few of them, but we get this new one who sticks his head in. Hey, head. He calls Bran my prince. This is where Bran starts talking about, I don't like being called that. He's like, stop howling. Bran does not. Hey, head leaves and goes get Lewin. Lewin comes back. He's like, go to bed. Do you need me to have head carry you? He's like, I don't want to go to bed. I'm a prince. I can do what I want, but no, I don't need you to carry me. This is where he talks about the bars that Jeff mentioned earlier. Mick can hammer these iron bars in so that Bran can like pull himself around his room.
Which is pretty cool. I mean,
he probably doesn't look very princely when he's doing it, but yeah, if that was me, I'd want the same thing. I want to be able to do stuff without other people's help.
Right. You don't want to have to call Hodor to, I don't know, just sit up in your bed or whatever you want to do. Yeah.
So this is where he starts asking about dreams. So first he asks Lewin if wolves dream.
And Lewin says probably animals do, but not like us.
Yeah, but it's probably not the same.
Which is kind of like a stupid comment because you don't know what's in an animal's mind. Like we have no clue. It's just
I mean, we know that they're not as smart
I think we
as
do
us.
know. Right? I think we do know that
not
they dream
all.
though,
I
right?
mean,
like don't they do like
dream?
Not in those days, but now they can put those like things on their head and measure brain activity while they're asleep and compare it to people.
You always see your dog running on the ground.
Dogs have run, and so
yeah,
maybe they're not like dreaming of like string theory and how to solve it or something like completely advanced. But
I don't think people dream of that shit either. I mean, people are chasing cars and shit.
Sometimes I'm
dreaming string theory. What are you talking about?
Sometimes I'm thinking in the fourth dimension just to see if I
just
can
because you're drinking out of a wine glass today. Jeff thinks he's all fucking classy.
All fancy, dude.
Dreaming about string theory.
It's apple juice.
I wish. I don't even like apple juice, to be honest.
So after wolves, Bran asks if dead men dream. Obviously thinking about good old Nettie.
Pop's getting his face carved down in the crypts.
Yep. Lewin says some people think so, some people don't. Dead men are silent on the matter.
Again, something
pretty cryptic answer there.
No clue.
Dead men are silent on the answer. Or morbid answer.
I feel like that's kind of a joke.
I might have
giggled.
Yeah, he's like, there's no way to know. Like they don't tell us.
And then we get the big one. Do trees dream?
And Lewin's just like, trees? No. And Bran
why did he even ask him? That's the question. Yeah. He knew the answer, apparently.
Yeah, Bran just cuts him off immediately and says they do. Bran said, well, sudden certainly. They dream tree dreams. I dream of a tree sometimes. A weirwood. What is it? There's something that's like that. They dream tree dreams.
That's
that
what
reminds me of like a. I know that reminds me of like a song or something like that. I don't know, or maybe like a Dr. Seuss book.
It's not coming to me.
Then he says, a weirwood, like the one in the God's Wood, it calls to me. Wolf dreams are better. I smell things, and sometimes I can taste the blood. Yikes!
Nice.
Kind of awesome. Kind of yikes. Kind of awesome.
I mean, that's pretty yikes. I don't know that I'd want to experience them that much.
If you're paralyzed, being able to like run around, that'd be dope.
But I think, I mean, sure. Lewin is kind of freaked out about all this right now. He's like, look, you need to go hang out with the other kids. Like, you're being a weirdo.
You were spending way too much time on
Chutes and ladders and solitaire and do something else in the yard.
Yeah, if you're Lewin, you got this kid just sounds like absolute nonsense to you. He's like howling. He comes in. He's talking about tree dreams. You're like, dude, come on. Are you kidding me? Like, this is what they leave me with. Are you kidding me? This is our prince.
Where's his mom?
Lewin's got to be going crazy, dude.
But this is where they bring up the children. He's like, I hate the other children, and really because he hates the phrase because they had to lock up the dogs because Shaggy Dog bit Little Water, which we find out in the game how it actually happens.
Yep. And Bran's like, well, Lewin also points out that Shaggy Dog bit him in the first book, right? When they were down in the crypts. And Bran's like, that's Shaggy Dog. Shaggy Dog's awful, but Summer never hurt anybody. And Lewin's like, Summer literally killed somebody right where we're sitting.
When he was like 4 months old.
Yeah,
like,
but he's protecting me. Like, come on, dude.
I mean, and like, I feel like the Stark parents both at some point in the first book were like, fuck, it was like Ned. I feel like Ned at one point was like, getting those wolves was like the smartest thing I ever did, and like regrets killing Lady. Like when he was in the dungeons, I feel like there's a part where he's like, thank God I got those wolves for my kids. And he's like, he's pissed he kills Lady, right? And now they're locking him up for these two. We lost Lady. Arya doesn't have hers. Like all the kids. Rob still got Grey One, but like all the kids.
Rob
are
and
kind
John
of
are the only ones thriving with their puppies.
So then this is when Bran brings on this thing I said earlier. He's like, I'm a prince. I should be able to do what I want. And Alebelly, who's a new guardsman we haven't heard of yet, says he wouldn't let me ride Dancer like in the Wolfswood. And
is that a nickname? We can't pass.
Yeah, Hayhead and Alebelly have to be nicknames.
Like, is Hayhead just stupid as shit and Alebelly just got the biggest beer gut ever?
Straw hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, something like that. Golden hair. And Bran says, why can't I ride my horse out there? Alebelly wouldn't let me. And Lewin's like, do you remember that happened last time you were there? Literally, you got attacked by wildlings. And he's like, Summer would protect me, which is probably a good argument because Summer protected the fuck out of him last time. Summer and Theon. But he's like, princes should be able to sail and hunt and joust. And he's like, Bran, why do you torment yourself? Sometimes you'll be able to do some of these things, but you're only 8 right now. Like, figure it out. Like, you're 8 and paralyzed. You're not going to be able to do this shit right now.
Who does that sound like? This is my like biggest note of that section is what princes should be able to do. Is
it a Joffrey thing? Or are you trying to?
I don't think it's a Joffrey thing. That's not who I was
saying. Because he's being a bitch, being about king, and he should be in charge. And
well, he is. Yeah, he does cry about what I can do anything because I am prince. But Nels, do you?
Wait, what are you saying?
Thinking Viserys? I don't know who another prince would be.
Where's the
besides
quote?
Joffrey or Viserys?
Can you say it again, Jeff?
Yeah. I'm trying to find the exact quote. Nelson, just read it again. What all he like wants to be able to do.
Princes should be allowed to sail the sea and hunt boar in the Wolfswood and joust with lances. Bran, child, why do you torment yourself so? One day you may do some of these things, Robert. But now you're only a boy of 8.
It's Robert.
Robert, yeah, I guess. I was thinking more of just like different Brans throughout the Stark ages. Like we hear about Bran the Builder who went and sailed, and then Bran the Burner who burned all his. And we hear about who burnt. I don't know about the boar, but we hear. I mean, there's nothing for sailing for Robert, but then like we hear about the first Stark that wanted to be a knight or whatever, right?
Substitute sailing for looking for horse, and it's Robert. But going out and hunting,
exactly.
Going out and hunting, like fighting in tournaments, like.
The boar and jousting, definitely, because Robert like argued with Ned that wanted to joust in the tournament and then got killed by a boar while he was hunting for boar. They went hunting for boar when they were at Winterfell. For sure, but the sailing, I don't know.
Like if it was, let's just put Ned in Bran's shoes, and Ned's like, "Oh, I'm the prince. Like, what should I be doing?" He's like, "Oh, I should be a fair ruler," and blah 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 blah. Like it's just a different mindset. Bran's of that Robert mindset right now.
Well, I think that points out that. Well, I think what you're connecting on is that Robert's a child because Bran just has the child mindset. Robert had a child mindset.
Exactly. No, for sure.
And that's exactly what Lewin says. He's like, "You're 8."
And
like,
Nelson loves Robert, so what's that tell you?
Yeah, exactly. I have a child's mindset for sure. It's more fun. But I think the next quote's more interesting when he says, I'd rather be a wolf because then I could live in the wood and sleep when I wanted because they're trying to tell him to go to sleep. Find Arya and Sansa.
And you can go fuck yourself is pretty much
yeah, exactly. And then this is where he says that the whole Kingslayer thing, he'd rip out his throat and the war would be over and everyone would come back to Winterfell if I was a wolf. And then he just starts howling again. And Lewin's like, fuck it, and just dips.
Kicks him out.
And then when he's alone, he's like, howling's not as fun when you're not annoying people. And then this was where we kind of get a lot of the shit from the game and the Walters background and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we start with this stuff?
So the first note I kind of had was that when they did show up, Rickon was really against them.
Yeah.
and was like
freaking
crying. He was like, I don't want these two. I want my mom, blah, blah, blah. So he was the one putting up a big fight.
And even
Bran
Lou
was the
told Bran
one
he
that,
did a good
like-
job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bran
'cause
was
he
the one
was
that had to
being-
welcome him and shit.
Right. But then they get into this game that they play called Lord of the Crossing, which
Jeff, why don't you read there's like 2 paragraphs to that.
Such a fray thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
obviously.
the game was played with a log, a staff, a body of water, and a great deal of shouting. The water was the most important. Water and water, assured Bran. You could use a plank or even a series of stones, and a branch could be your staff. You didn't have to shout. But without water, there was no game. As Maester Lewin and Sir Roderick were not about to let the children go wandering off into the wolf woods in search of a stream, they made do with one of the murky pools in the Godswood. Water and Water had never seen hot water bubbling from the ground before, but they both allowed how it would make the game better. The way their game was played, you laid the log across the water, and one player stood in the middle with a stick. He was the Lord of the Crossing, and when one of the other players came up, he had to say, I am the Lord of the Crossing, who goes there? And the other player had to make up a speech about who they were and why they should be allowed to cross. The Lord could make them swear oaths and answer questions. They didn't have to tell the truth, but the oaths were binding unless they said mayhaps. So the trick was to say mayhaps so the Lord of the Crossing didn't notice. Then you could try and knock the Lord into the water, and you got to be the Lord of the Crossing. But only if you said mayhaps. Otherwise, you were out of the game. The Lord got to knock anyone in the water any time he pleased, and he was the only one who got to use the stick.
Piggybacking on what I said before about how this is a fray game, like they really got this shit lopsided for the fucking Lord of the water too. Like
Yeah, exactly. He's got a stick, no one else
yeah, they're
does.
puffing himself up there. Yeah, he can just fuck people up anytime he wants. Like there's like he's got no rules. Everybody else has to try and
Follow
bullshit
his
through,
rules.
and he's still gonna whack you. He's not gonna let you through, right?
Exactly. So I think it's like an interesting metaphor for like kind of just like all the politics in Game of Thrones, because Bran goes on to say that Littlewater is the one who's always just like pretty much he's winning more times than not, and Littlewater we find out is the bigger one.
Bigger
Right,
and
so-
52 days younger.
Yeah, the game seems like it's a lot about like scheming and politicking and trying to trick people, but at the end of the day, the bigger person who just hits everyone else with a stick harder is the one who's winning the game, which I think is like. That's
It's a
how Robert
bully.
won the
It's a
throne,
bully
right? Like,
game.
Robert didn't win the throne because he had a better right than anybody else. He
He wasn't a
won the throne because he had a
politician.
bigger army, right? More people
Right.
supporting him. Just like whoever has more swords at the end of the day is the one who wins. I think it's kind of what this is saying. It's like a kind of metaphor for
Oh,
game
for
games.
sure.
I think there's a little bit of saying that, like, hey, if you can trick the guy and maybe cross, and then when your back's turned, you push him down, type shit. But
Yeah, for sure. But like, Bran goes on to say like the bigger guy is just winning more times than not.
I mean,
Why would you let
for
anybody
sure.
cross? Like that's like,
Right.
and it's I think it's
oaths too.
I mean, I guess at some point you gotta let somebody cross
Yeah.
and just defend yourself. Or what's the point of the game? Like, why would you play if you're just like, okay, this guy is just gonna go smack the shit out of me?
Well, I mean, you let them come out to you. I guess that's what I'm saying is that you don't let them behind you ever. You beat them up when
Yeah.
they're still coming at you. You're halfway. I think it's also
but
just
what if they cross? They can't attack you unless they said mayhaps during the oath.
It's weird because he's like, you're allowed to lie, but the oaths are binding. So like, I don't understand how that works either. Like that's kind of like the same. That's like kind of like contradictory right there.
Yeah, it is definitely.
your kids.
There's holes in this game, and the older kid thought of this so he could beat the shit out of his little brother
Yeah,
up at
exactly.
one point, or the other kids. But we do get so Big Water. They go through the whole list of who's in line to the succession of the twins, and a bunch more Walters, and there's Wildies and Walters, and
Well, Rickon has a funny line where he says like, we have our own names at Winterfell.
That is a good one.
It's funny how like Big Water, who I guess is just ahead a little, or no, Little Water's ahead, but
Yeah, so let's pick two people to be
No,
the
big waters.
Waters.
okay.
We're cousins, not brothers.
Added Big Water, the little one.
I'm Walter, son of Jamos. My father was Lord Walter's son by his fourth wife. He's Walter's son of Merritt. His grandmother was Lord Walter's third wife, the Craycall. He's ahead of me in the line of succession, even though I'm older.
Only by 52 days.
Little Water objected.
And neither of us will ever hold a twin, stupid.
I will.
Big Water declared.
We're not the only Walters either. Sir Stavron has a grandson, Black Walter. He's fourth in line of succession. And there's Red Walter, Sir Emmond's son, and Bastard Walter, who isn't in the line at all. He's called Walter Rivers, not Walter Frey. Plus, there's girls named Walda.
And Tur, you forgot Tur.
He's Walter, not Walter.
Big Water said airily.
And he's after us, so he doesn't matter. Anyhow, I never liked him.
All right, that's good. So
The point I was going to make is just like, oh, he doesn't matter. He's behind us. Like, fuck him. Like, shut up. You guys, you're like ninth in line. Like, grow up, little Big Water.
it's just funny how like
Little Big Water.
like
Is it Tur or Tier?
I would
probably
say tier.
Okay. I was
after I read it, I started
Sorry.
but I think it works either way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But yeah, it's just funny how like these guys are so far down in the line of succession and they're still like, no, I'm gonna do it, and like they're like, I'm gonna make it, not you, but they're like third and fourth wife, right? There's like
Yeah, they're way down the
Sir
list.
Stefan, who's like the second in line, has like 2 or 3 different wives with like kids of each of them of his own that all come before this. So they're so far down in the line of succession, these two. And Bran doesn't like that they were given Jon's bedchamber.
Taking his spot.
Yeah,
I mean-
like they're trying to replace him.
It was a bedroom already set up, you know.
Yeah, no one's gonna be there. No one's gonna be there.
I mean, I don't think there was any malice behind that.
But obviously, like
That's
if you're an
kid
8-year-old
stuff.
kid,
Yeah,
you can understand
If
it.
it was Arya and Sansa's room, do you think he would felt the same way?
But they potentially are coming back, which I think is why they're not giving those away, right?
Yeah, well, sure. Like, you have a room where this guy's, if he comes back, you cut his head off. So
Yeah, he's not coming back.
So then this is where we started getting into like how they were playing. So they were playing, and they were playing with Turnip and Brandy and Shira. So Turnip is the cook's daughter. It says
Boy.
son,
Yeah.
but the appendix says daughter, and later they say that she's a kitchen scallion. So this has to be the one George R. R. Martin, first one we found.
wow.
Damn, George, you fucked up, bro.
Then there's
What do
2
you mean?
twins.
The cook's what? The cook's scallion?
If you look in the appendix under Gage, it says that it's a girl. It says it's a daughter.
Interesting.
Weird. So the Walders were playing with Turnip, who's Gage's daughter, son. It's hard to tell. It seems like a son from the passage, but the appendix definitely seems like a daughter. And I think based on that, we're probably going to get more references to this person later where it's a girl. But yeah, confusing. I think it's a girl. Doesn't really
Hot
matter.
girl and scallion. Yeah.
How do you
Yep, so
pronounce
there's-
the next guy's name?
Brandy?
No, not the kid. Like the
Shara?
dad.
King?
Their dad. Joseph.
Joseph.
Joseph. That's just asking me to
Joseph?
let a lisp. Joseph.
He's the new
That's
master of
awful.
force.
That's an awful name. If my parents had named me that, I would not be
Fight
good.
'em.
Jeez, guys. Pulling no
Joseph.
punches tonight.
No, I'm saying personally, like I can't say that name.
I like that
multiple
name,
times.
Joseph. I think Joseph's a cool name.
Joseph.
Joseph.
It's just bad. His 2
So,
girls.
Now, Kith.
While they're playing, they decide Bran should be the judge of if they said mayhaps, but
Yeah,
then-
because he can't play anyway.
He's just watching them, like, yeah, go play with the kids, Bran, and then you just lay there all day, like,
yeah.
come
When
on,
push
Lewin,
came,
grow
but when
up.
push came to Chubb, no one listened to him anyway. Exactly. And then they were having so much fun that 3 more people came: Pala, Callan, and Tom Tom. Callan and Tom Tom, unfortunately. Tom is his name Tom too?
Tom too. Yeah,
Oh, I have it as Tom
Fat
Tom.
Tom.
Because his dad is Fat Tom, so he's
So
Tom
yeah,
too.
and Callan, they don't really mention it, but Callan's dad, Karen, I think also died in Winterfell or
Cain?
in King's
Cain.
Landing. Kane, yeah. I think he also died in Winterfell with that. At least that's what mine
It's
said.
kind of, I mean, I'm sure it'd be fun, like, oh, let's splash around in the water. It's not fun getting hit with a stick.
No,
Like, it can't be that much fun
It's
if they
fun
get.
for the person with the stick, Jeff.
But it
That's
sounds
the
like
point.
everybody is having fun and splashing
Even
around.
Rickon has fun when he gets totally whapped in the chest, but also his dog gets over
Yeah.
Shaggy dog gets
So
over
Rickon comes running up, wants to play. He hops up, he gets hit. Shaggy Dog bites Little Water in the arm, which is why we now know why that they're locked up in the Godswood. So
And that made Rickon totally have a change of heart of the Waters, and now he's like, they're thick as thieves, these 3.
yeah, which I mean, why? Because
You
Shaggy
got
Dog
bit
bit
by my
him.
dog? You're
Like,
fucking
oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
I
the
don't know.
man, or he just like enjoyed being hit, or whatever. But
I
they're
think it's because he thought it was funny that Shaggy Dog bit him, so like he figured something else funny would happen to him.
yeah.
That's my guess.
What
So
did
they
he
start
do?
doing-
Well, hold on. What did Rickon do that really pissed off Bran?
He took him down to the graves.
took him down
They're
to
doing
the
a bunch of
crypts.
kid stuff that Bran can't do, stealing bread, fucking with people. I don't know. He says a bunch of stuff that Bran can't do. That sounds like fun. And then, yeah, the one thing is he takes him to show the stonemaker making the statue of Ned. Bran does not like that. He says it's a Stark place. And he like yells at him.
That's when
That's
Maester
when Lewin
shows up.
comes. Yeah, that's when Lewin comes back.
with green goo.
And Osha, who's like just filling this kid who's annoying Bran with all this this kid who's already annoying Loon with all this nonsense. He brings the person who's filling his head with nonsense for some reason. He brings her, but yeah, Osha comes with him and he brings this like potion that will give him what's he say?
She had something to do with the potion.
Dreamless sleep.
Sweet. You think she made the potion,
or like suggested it to Lewin or something?
Yeah. So it's supposed to give sweet dreamless sleep.
Or maybe she made it and that's why it doesn't work.
Maybe. I didn't think about that, but it's a good point that you say it.
Enhance.
So he drinks it, goes to sleep. She tells him, is it the wolf dreams? He's like, yeah. She's like, you shouldn't fight them. You should embrace them. Goes to sleep, has a wolf dream.
Well, that's what I mean by, I guess, like she made it on purpose to not work or to enhance his dream even or something like that.
I didn't think about it till now.
I don't think she made it because
so,
Lewin wouldn't have trusted her to make it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But
maybe
it was her, I heard about this green thing. And he was like, oh, yeah, let's try that. And it, like, I don't know. But
green go.
Like, I feel like if you wanted, we've heard of Milk of the Poppy just kind of knocking people out. Like, I guess you don't want to, like, keep someone on a Milk of the Poppy. Yeah. I mean, it's basically what they're trying to do is, like, give this kid melatonin or something. But
which is not opioids. It's the next level.
But if they really wanted him to sleep one night for good, that's what they would have given him.
He's got to rub whiskey on it.
Give him a shitload of Benadryl.
Do you guys have anything for the wolf dream? I don't really have much. He basically says there's trees that don't come down.
We kind of talked about it, yeah.
Shaggy Dog goes in circles, getting growling and everything, and Summer just
remembers
chills.
the word Winterfell.
At first, you don't know if it's wolves, if it's his wolves, or just a wolf, right?
Yeah.
And then we find out that, oh, wait, there's a wall here. Oh, they're in the Godswood. So,
yeah.
There's a brother.
It says brother, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
they
not
never
like
straight out say it's Summer Shaggy Dog, but
yeah,
it makes sense.
I think from there you can,
clues.
You can imply that. Which did we know that his wolves' dreams are always about his wolves, or is it just some random little wolf running around? But I think
they never really said anything more than wolf dream. I think prior to this point,
right?
Agreed.
So now we kind of know
Someone
that
wants to eat a squirrel.
He's dreaming of his own wolf. Yeah.
Right.
The other interesting thing that Glow said is not only that, but he like remembers. It sounds like as Summer, he can remember the word Winterfell or recognize the word. Like, remember it, right? Because he's thinking like all these walls, the Man Stone. He's like Winterfell. Like I know the word or whatever. He remembered the sound coming to him suddenly. Yeah, and then he's like, and then he remembers that like out beyond that, there's the real world. And he thinks he has to get there or die. And that's where the chapter ends.
All right.
Maybe that's why they're howling.
Yeah, Kyle. So, what are your predictions, bud?
Predictions?
I'm joking.
I don't even know what just happened
right now.
Do you think? I mean, I'll try and give you some pointed questions. Like, all right, we meet the Walder Frey boys. Do you think of anything that could be important with them in terms of having wards? We've known wards in the past have kind of been like Theon
if
was a
Walder
ward,
tries
right?
to pull anything, I mean, they have two of his kids in their command currently. I mean, I don't know that he cares too much about these two specifically, though.
Bran would have no problem chopping these kids' head off if the word came up from Robb.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, like, does Walder even
Does
care?
old man Walder care about
these
the
are
9th
number
and 10th person?
Oh, yeah.
Number 92
grandkids
and
or his kids?
97.
One's a grandkid. I think one's a grandkid and one's a great grandkid based on what they said.
Yeah.
Or add a great to either of those, to both of those.
Right. Anything with these dreams that, they mentioned the, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
a lot
there's
of
obviously got to
dreaming.
be something to the dreams. I don't know that they'd go into depth about this, or George would go into depth about this if there was no need for him or reason for them. I don't know what it is. Obviously, just yet, other than like he feels connected to these animals for sure.
What's next for Bran? What's the next Bran chapter?
Such a non-pointed question. That was almost as bad as mine. What are your predictions there, Kyle?
Hodor's going to drop him at least once. That's got to happen. That's got to happen.
I like that.
From the window again to see if he can die.
He's going to fix him.
Fixes him. Hodor.
Yeah, I mean, shit, I don't have any other questions, but...
No, I mean, what's next for Bran? More of the same. No, I think he's probably going to try and find a way to let the dogs out. How about that?
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, I
Bran,
knew you were gonna
Bran,
get
Bran,
that.
Bran. Who did the dogs kill? Water.
All right.
I don't know if there's a reason for them to continue attacking. It was like a direct attack on Rickon.
You guys, I feel like in the episode where we talked about Shaggy Dog attacking Lewin, you guys were telling me that Shaggy Dog attacked somebody before Lewin.
Nah,
Maybe two people before Lewin.
Prove it.
I feel like
It
he
was
did.
probably like a guardsman or
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I feel like
No,
that's what
he
you
did.
guys said.
He did.
It was like
In
the
that,
kennel
when they had
master
him
or
chained
something.
up the first Bran chapter after everybody left, they
'Cause
had
he
him
was
chained
chained
up because he bit like the cook and he bit the master, the weapons master, or the guy that makes weapons or whatever, right?
Suck
This
it,
is like
Nelson.
4. This is like number 4
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I believe you guys are right.
I
think that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
Because they had him chained up and then Rickon let him out.
Shaggy Dog's a savage.
All right, well, let's not drag this on any longer than it has to be. Good episode. We'll see Kyle in the next one for Arya 2. Second Arya chapter already, the book.
Bam.
Man.
See you later, Cal.
Bye, Kyle.
See you later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Alright, see you later, Cal. Great hanging out, bud.
Bye,
We'll see you on the
Cal.
next episode for Arya
Bye,
2
Cal.
or 1 something. And now on to the
Arya 2.
spoiler section. And now on to the spoilers section of Bran 1. Boys, what are your hot takes for this episode?
Oh, boys.
Not much here. I know we could go deep on a few things, but we'll save it. 'cause,
Definitely could go deep, and I know
I need to touch
you
up
want
on
to.
some of the. I need to touch up on some of the Frey history, Frey family shit, and
Fuck those boys. I do forget. In the books, do they get burned by Theon?
No, it's the Miller's boys.
Okay, so it is the farmer boys still. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember.
yeah. And in the books, there's like a big theory thought that Theon has said that he fucked the Miller's boys' mom. So there's a thought that one of his boys is actually Theon's kid, and he actually killed his own kid.
Interesting.
Which would be, what do they call that?
Kinslaying.
Kinslaying, yeah.
People call him a kinslayer later, and it's
Because of Bran and
people
Rickon
think it's
being
because people think it's because Bran and Rickon are actually the ones that are dead.
there. Yeah.
But some people are like, maybe they know Bran and Rickon aren't dead, and Theon actually killed his own kid. But then it's a stretch. Like, how the fuck would like Arnulf Karstark, who's calling him that, know that A, that Bran and Rickon aren't dead, and B, that he fucked that lady. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't really make sense. But
sense. How does the one water die?
he thinks of himself as a kinslayer. It's kind of confusing. I think, Chloe, you might know this better than me. You know a lot of the dance stuff really good, especially the Norse stuff. But I think the thought is it's a planned killing by Ramsay or one of Ramsay's men on purpose to give them a reason to kick out the Freys, right? Because I think what happens is he dies, Manderley's blame it on the Freys blame it on the Manderleys, they get into a fight, and then Bolton commands both the Manderleys and the Freys to leave the castle from different gates and go and attack Stannis. So I think this is kind of like the catalyst that leads to all of that. And
He's killed by one of the snowmen? Or he's turned into one of the snowmen?
He's just found dead, yeah. And I think people think that it might be... Basically, they asked... I think it's Big Water that dies... No, I think it's Little Water that dies, and Big Water basically might be responsible for it, through Ramsay's command. I'm not... Again, this is what I'm saying. I have to touch up on all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't
I
matter.
don't recall.
Fuck them.
I think the big point of it is it's the catalyst that leads to two armies being sent out, because it's like the whole thing where like somebody jumps up on the table and slices Manderley's like fat double chins or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe you guys remember.
I don't remember at
it
all.
might even be the same time. Maybe the same scene where Manderley's feeding the Freys the Frey pies. Like that. It's all like related to that type of that
Winds
time
of
of the
Winter.
book. Huh?
That's Winds of Winter.
No, it's not.
You sure?
Yep.
I don't remember Manley's feeding the Frey pies.
It's like you have to catch it. Basically, all the Freys are at the Manderleys at White Harbor when Davos is there, and then what the Manderleys say when they get to Winterfell to meet the Boltons is, "Oh, we lost those 3 on the way." But basically, what people think is as soon as they were outside of White Harbor and the Freys didn't have guest right anymore, they killed them. Manderleys cooked them into pies and then served them at a feast with the Boltons and the Freys.
Yeah, buddy.
Hell yeah,
Dope
bro.
That's what people think
Dope
that's
play. And people love the pie.
Manderley does. He has like 3 or 4
Yeah, right.
All right, my big one, which I don't even know, like, it just feels to me that OSHA means so much more than just what we know of OSHA.
Well, everything she says is right.
Yeah,
Everything she says is right. She's got some old god bullshit going on.
she knows some shit.
It's like her and Old Nan. We don't know. Old Nan's a little bit more of a stretch, but everything that like those two say, like there's some truth in it. It seems like.
So that's one of my notes. It's whatever OSHA or Old Nan say is probably right, especially if it contradicts Lewin.
Yeah, like Old Nan has said some like far out shit about like wildlings only being all rapists and like crazy people, right? Like we know that isn't true. Like so some of the Old Nan shit isn't for sure, but yeah, like the mythical shit they're saying. More often they're right than wrong. Like OSHA says shit about giants.
But how?
Like, oh, that's
how?
stupid. There's
Why?
no giants.
Why does she? Well, okay, she's seen giants before, like that. Like, why is she right about all this shit about the comet and the? What did she do a couple chapters ago where she was like spot on? Do you remember?
I don't know. And think about this: like if Bloodraven is the gods, right?
Right.
The old gods, and she said, what does she tell Bran before he like goes to sleep? He says, like,
"Oh, that's what it was. It was."
Well, she
talked
says
about the
your brothers
trees.
shouldn't be going south; they should be going north.
Right, exactly. Because the trees. Well, listen, you're not listening, right? Type shit.
So you're onto it, Jeff. In this one, she says, I see you talking to the trees. Maybe the dreams is the gods trying to talk back. Well, what conclusion does Summer come to at the very end of this? We got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does Bloodraven want? He wants Bran to get the fuck out of Winterfell and come north.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing that's about to happen, I don't know if it's the next Bran chapter or the one after. 2 people are going to show up.
Jojen and Mira.
Jojen and Mira.
Yeah.
I think it might be the next chapter. I don't know what would be next besides this.
All right. So OSHA, what the fuck's going on? Like, is she just lucky as shit, or?
I think the wildlings are just more in tune with like the old gods and all that shit.
I'd have to agree with Nelson there. I think they're just more.
I don't know, dude. I think because she's not going to get stabbed in the throat by Ramsay while she's banging him in the book, right? Isn't she in like Stannis' camp or?
I think it's the same as.
No, she's with.
Does she die in the
Rickon
books? I mean, they take Rickon.
She's in Skagos.
Oh yeah, she comes back in the books. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, she has Rickon.
She has Rickon. We have no idea where Rickon is.
In the show,
I was about to say, what was that in the book?
Same, well, I was confused because it's the same in the show. She escapes Ramsay with Rickon in the show, but yeah, in the show they Ramsay recaptures Rickon. That hasn't. If that happens, it hasn't happened yet in the books.
That would be so stupid.
So yeah, OSHA is still supposedly with Rickon at Skagos.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's some other shit going on with her. I'll leave it at that. Maybe she's just really in tune. But that would make me assume that every wildling or northerner, above the wall person is better at interpreting the old gods than.
I would agree. Yeah, and I think we'll
I would
probably
agree.
see
Everyone north of the wall is better interpreting the old gods than anyone below the wall.
Well, then they should just know exactly what's going on because
I
there's
say
just
better. It doesn't mean that they're all good at it.
I don't
But
even
they're
know
all
if
better.
I don't even know if it's necessarily even better. Just like they literally see shit that people down south don't believe exists. OSHA has seen giants. People down south don't believe giants exist. OSHA's probably seen people who got killed by the others. So when
again, I'm not talking about anything actually physically represented in this world, but she is interpreting the wind blowing in the trees as shit that we know is right. She's interpreting believing in the dreams type shit. Like, obviously she knows wargs exist, but
again, that's something that they have north of the wall that they don't have south of the wall. So that might be like part of like what the wildlings are taught. Like, oh yeah, these wargs are just better at hearing what the gods.
I gotcha.
Like,
I'll leave it at that. I think she's a bigger piece, and maybe there's a reason she's with them, with Rickon. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It just. I like what you're saying because you're right. She's right about so much stuff. It just seems kind of like the Mir Mazdor thing. Like, how could Mir Mazdor have been placed, and how they know that she wouldn't got killed in the Dothraki attack, and like how they know that Dany would save her. Like, there's like way too much that needs to happen. Like, how would OSHA know to be in the right time right as they're out taking a walk? How would every single one of them die except for like that type of thing? There's too much that has to go right, but it's definitely interesting. That's kind of why I feel it's more of just a wildland thing. Do you guys have any other points? I have 2 other little
I
things.
can bring up my sweet shit if we want to.
Yeah, it was a bunch of sweets.
I think there was 2. She said the comet is fire or blood and fire and nothing sweet. And basically, I think that means no cat. It's gonna be
No
blood and
cat.
fire. Blood and fire from the fucking dragons.
I'm more interested in the second one.
Sweet dreamless sleep. I mean, it's a
Yep.
lie. She doesn't get.
That's
He
death.
doesn't get dreamless sleep.
So I like Kyle's thought there
Oh,
that
yeah,
maybe
good job,
OSHA
Jeff.
spiked the drink. But what were you saying, Jeff?
It's death.
That is
So-
death.
I think you're kind of on something by accident, maybe. Later on in book 5, this might even be some of it might be in the Winter Wins is Elaine Wins a Winter chapter. That's what they give. What they give. We also hear about it in the Arya chapter when she's learning about poisons in Bravos. There's something called sweet sleep. It's a poison. It's like a few grains will dull a headache.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like
I
half
remember
a
that.
spoonful will stop a seizure, or like a pinch will stop a seizure. A pinch will give you like sweet dreamless sleep. Is I
And
think the way they
a
describe
couple
it.
kill you or whatever.
And this stays in the blood, which is what's interesting about Sweet Robin is they keep giving him like doses that should be okay. But the one thing that we learn about Sweet Sleep is like it stays in the blood. There's no way to like you don't piss it out and like you're good after 2 days. Like if you've taken a pinch and you get another pinch and another pinch, like eventually you'll just die, even if it's like really spaced out. And Sweet Robin has just been taking doses of this shit and not dying, which is something very interesting about Sweet Robin.
No wonder
but
he's so
he has-
fucked up.
But he has very similar. It's weird because if you assume that that's what this is, which I 100% do, this is the same thing. Then Bran has similar effects where they give him Sweet Sleep and it doesn't really help Sweet Robin that much. This drug that knocks people the fuck out. Bran, who we know has like these weird abilities, no effect. And then I think this is almost meant to, hey, look, people like weird people with like who are like appear weak but have weird magic powers. They aren't affected by the same things as other people. And we see it firsthand through Bran. We don't see it firsthand through Sweet Robin, but we see it secondhand. So I think it's like a potential hint that Sweet Robin's got some shit going on.
So what should happen to Robin from taking all the shit? Like
He
he
should be
should
knocked the fuck out, no seizures, no dreaming.
all the time, or just whenever he falls
whenever
asleep.
they give it to him, yeah.
Gotcha.
Just like here,
Interesting.
it should make Bran not have dreams.
And
when
what
he
what
has
happens to
dreams.
Robin? He like fucking cries like a little baby.
And they give it like I think
weirdo.
they can get it to work on Sweet Robin. Like they get him to knock out, but they give him like the dose that would kill a man, and they give it to him like nightly.
Damn.
And
All
he's
right.
just like
That's
it works
wild.
on him, but he's like he just like keeps kicking. Which is why people think that like again we're getting a little off track, but whatever. We're not gonna have much to talk about after this. Littlefinger seems to be getting Sansa. He's setting Sansa up to marry Harry the Heir, who's the heir after Sweet Robin. The really only point in that is if you think Sweet Robin's gonna die, poisoning him slowly over time is probably a good way to do that because it's like it's not obvious that it happened overnight. It's like, oh, this was a long time coming. He's been sick for forever. Everyone fucking saw this happening, right?
Yeah.
Which is why people think which is what people think Littlefinger's game with that might be. He might know it's super dangerous. But even in those chapters, the maester in the Eyrie is saying like, this is a bad idea. We can't keep doing this. And Littlefinger keeps saying one more time. And then he's like, you said that yesterday. He's like, do it again. I don't care. Is that all you guys had? I have one more thing.
You go, Nels. I got 2 more small things.
Mayhaps.
All right, I was gonna bring this up.
I didn't even think of it being something.
So basically, it's just like it's like the word that you're allowed to say while you're lying to get away with a lie.
Sure. Does old water use
I'm saying,
that?
does he say that during his conversation with Rob later on?
When Rob is asking for bread and salt, he says, "Yeah, water slips in mayhaps
shit.
before
Does
like
he?
the chapter or 2 before the red wedding." Yeah, but also it's just an interesting word to like keep an eye out for, no matter what. It's like add that to the list of red smile or sweet or whatever else we keep a lookout for. Mayhaps is on the list. It was on the list for me too, but I don't think they really use it that much in the first book. But I knew this was like a thing, so I was on the lookout for it.
I was literally gonna ask, does Walter say that to Rob?
Yeah.
Let's keep
Did
an
he
eye
say
out
it to
for
Catelyn in the first one?
It doesn't really describe it, I don't think, does it?
We don't get the whole talk, but I don't think he says it in the part we get. But
Right.
he definitely says it in the part like before. It's like literally when Rob's asking for salt.
Wow. Is it like
Right before
italicized
he's-
or anything like that?
I don't remember.
Shit. I mean, I figured once you brought it up, like it had to play. Like, where would they have learned that from? Like, someone had to teach them the word mayhaps. Like, who uses the word mayhaps for one?
He says it twice.
You know,
I was looking for that quote, so I don't have it exactly, but it basically when Rob arrives at the twins before their wedding and asks if he can cross the river, Walter says, "You wanted crossing, and I gave it to you, and never said mayhaps." And then when Catelyn asks for food, Walter says, "A loaf of bread, a bite of cheese, mayhaps sausage." That's like when Catelyn's asking for, and then Robb says like, "Okay, and some salt too," or whatever.
And Cat's like, "We need to eat so that we have guest rights, right?" Like that's like the only thing.
She's like, "Can I eat?" And he's like, "Of course." And he's like, "Of course, a bit of bread, a bite of cheese, and mayhaps a sausage," is how he responds. Damn. And he literally says to Robb the first time, like, "When you came the first time, I never said mayhaps," is like all he says. Which, like, obviously it makes sense in context, but it also, like, makes sense in terms of the games. Like, I never tried to lie to you, I never schemed you, and you fucked me over, type of thing. Or you never said mayhaps, also. It 100% fits in with, like, this game right here, which is.
Do you think if Robb said mayhaps, he would have been cool? Like, no, I said mayhaps. Like,
if
you can't kill me.
I did say mayhaps.
Yeah.
I did say mayhaps. Look at page
nah, fuck
157.
it. You're dead anyway.
Exactly.
Look at page 157, chapter 8. All right, so the last thing, Nelson, I have is you said like Winterfell, the mountains around there are smoking, or is this somewhere else?
That's at Dragonstone.
That's at Dragonstone.
In the first chapter, Crescent says that there's 3 omens. The white bird came, the comet, and the volcano behind Dragonstone was smoking.
Okay,
and
I was just gonna say
no one says it, but it's kind of like again comet, white raven, wolves are howling. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say. I mean, if the mountains are smoking, it's a volcano, most likely. Dragons out of stone, that would be basically like a volcano erupting. If we want to take that prophecy literal, you know?
Maybe there's just a huge dragon trapped underneath the mountain, and he's just trying to like, hey, I'm under here blowing smoke.
So there's like, I thought that's where Glow was going with Winterfell. There's a theory that there's a dragon trapped underneath Winterfell, and that's why there's a hot springs. And I'm not a big fan of this
so it's
theory,
waking dragons from stone. I don't know if that's at Winterfell, but you could take it as, a volcano could be a dragon erupting fire from the earth.
Yeah, that's what Jeff's saying. But I thought where you were going with that whole thing was there's a popular theory. I don't know about popular, but there's a theory
dragons
that there's a dragon,
Winterfell.
at least one dragon, or maybe dragon eggs underneath Winterfell, or like dragon eggs in Lyanna's crypt or something like that.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else. Short chapter. I'll take it short. I've been editing some of the long ones lately, so unless you guys have anything else, I'm going to call it.
I'm good. Osha. I got my eye on Osha's ass.
Osha being all
Because
sneaky.
she's fine.
She is fine.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next one. Arya 2.
Night is dark and full of terrors.